Pray with me now that the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. Well, happy Easter, everyone. It is still Easter. Easter is a 50-day long period. It is a season, if you will. And I like a lot of Easter. That's good. It's like a lot of Christmas. Keep it coming. Yeah, I see a lot of Easter stuff on social media, and to be honest, I get rarely offended by anything. I can usually roll with the punches and appreciate humor from practically all angles, even when it comes to religious humor. I mean, I love my Monty Python, but I had a little bit of a cringy moment this past week when a friend shared a meme that was going around about Easter being about worshiping a zombie, and I wouldn't say it was like offended. It was cringy. It just felt like, it's just a really bad understanding of what Easter's about. So, I did what I probably shouldn't have done. I engaged. And well, I hope I came at it in such a way that I didn't want to add any more aggression that was already out there. I was just like, hey, you do realize that Easter is not just like an episode of The Walking Dead. And she was like, I'm sorry, if you're going to call yourself a Christian, you're going to have to admit you believe that Jesus was a zombie. And I'm like, nah, not really. And she's like, it's just such a strange belief. She said that, she was raised as a Christian and she was told what to believe about resurrection. And she said she was very comfortable critiquing this. She says, a dead man just doesn't get up after 3 days of being dead and walking around. And I said, I get that, but not everyone has been indoctrinated with that kind of identical theology. I mean, some of us have been told what we need to have to believe, and we're invited, or else, but we're all invited into the mystery of what resurrection means to us. We don't have to walk a party line with that. But it goes against scientific explanation, she said. And I said, so? I mean, what's your point? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we don't understand. It doesn't mean it loses meaning. I mean, 200 years ago, we couldn't explain things like molecular biology and chemistry. It doesn't mean that those things didn't exist. It just means that they were a mystery then. Did you ever read that book, Life of Pi? It was a wonderful book. It talks about the story and the power of story. I think sometimes we get so caught up in how the facts of what have been written down shake out that we can lose the meaning of the story. I hope some of that resonated. But with a lot of friends, I understand how they might come into this tension between science and religion. I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that science investigates, religion interprets. Science gives us humans knowledge, which is power, and religion gives us humans wisdom, which is a type of control. Science deals mainly with facts. Religion deals mainly with values. And those two things are not rivals. And nor should they be, because reason is good. Reason is sound. And as much as I've wrestled with my Christian faith, I know that it is not unreasonable. I mean, it may sound unreasonable to some people. Things like unconditional love and radical inclusion really go against the very nature of our current state of neoliberalism. I mean, you listen to that story from the book of Acts today. Now, the whole group of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one claimed private ownership of any possessions, but everything they owned was held in common. Ooh, now that kind of sounds like it just doesn't sound like the kind of current flavor of capitalism we're practicing today now, does it? This might sound crazy to a lot of people, even people who call themselves Christians, but it's not unreasonable that we should find joy in the presence of love in all things. And that includes looking out after our neighbors. Is it not reasonable that we should be faithful stewards of God's creation? Is it not reasonable that we should continue to ask questions about the word God even means to us? Is it not reasonable that we should have doubt? I don't think doubt is a bad thing. And this, Thomas gets a bad rap, right? Poor guy. I mean, took the gospel all over India, all over the East. He spread the joy everywhere. Does anybody remember him for that? No, it was that doubting thing that he did. People remember him for that, sure. But, speaking from my own experience, I really believe that doubt has made my faith stronger, because it's through doubt that we're able to come into a deeper understanding of what God, that term God, might mean to us. Our Christian journey is full of doubt. It's full of questions, not just Thomas. I mean, Jesus even had his own doubts. I mean, when he arose from his baptism, he was tempted into the wilderness. He pined for another way in the garden that night before his own execution. Our Christian journey is also full of certainty. There are stories, the lessons, a spiritual compass, the example that Jesus sets for us. And there's the certainty of resurrection, the knowledge that not even death can contain love. Please don't ask me what it means or how to explain it in empirical terms. I'm not going to do that. I can't. They didn't teach us that at seminary. I don't know how it happened or what exactly happened. And to be honest, I really don't care. All I know is that some kind of event happened, and it had a tremendous impact on the way a group of people would continue to discover divinity in the world. And we need more divinity in our world right now. It's there. We only need to see it, because it's a gift. It's a gift that right now, something that we might choose to describe as God's grace remains with us. And that was a grace that was present and evident in the trauma of the crucifixion and the aftermath before the resurrection. It was present in the early church. It's present with us now. We're a year and some change into this pandemic. And here's the thing, it's still happening whether we like it or not. It is. People are still getting sick. People are still dying. We have to continue, like Thomas, to doubt, to believe, to reconcile, and to seek Christ in others during this time, particularly those who are tired and angry, even those who offend us. Because when we seek Christ in others, we will find Christ in others. And when we find Christ in them, we will find resurrection in them too. We experience the resurrection. We experience victory over death. And through the resurrection, Jesus triumphs over death. It's not a victory for Jesus, the person, Jesus, the incarnation. This is a victory for us. It's a small victory that we can encounter every day. So be where you are at this moment, please. Be present. Present for yourself, for God, for one another in community, and rejoice in it. It is a gift to be present and to feel and know God's grace among us at this time. I don't doubt that one bit.